when I was doing my brain wellness presentations to classes or to lunch and learns with teachers or at conferences or at high school assemblies or even teachers college, about halfway through my presentation, people had been sitting and been sitting for about half an hour, and I would say, let's do a stand-up activity. You're going to stand up if your answer to what I say is yes or true, and you'll sit down if the answer is no or false. And so my first question is, and I don't tell them it's my first question, do you understand the instructions? And a few people stand up, which is, the others are looking around trying to figure out what's going on. And gradually the others stand up, realizing, do you understand the instructions was a question, and if they understood it, the answer is yes, they need to stand. So humor is really important when dealing with brain illnesses and brain angst. The pathway for stress and angst is shared by humor, and you can't really have your anxiety response while you're having the humor one. So humor is a fantastic way to not fight back, that work through a strategy to use with angst. So I'd ask questions of the audience. Do you have brown eyes? And people with brown eyes would stand up. Then I'd say, are you left-handed? Left-handed people would sit up. Brown-eyed people would sit down. If you are a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, people would stand up. People would groan. All sorts of comments. People would stand up. I'd do 5 or 6, 7 questions, and then I'd say, stand up if you're listening to me right now, which was a fun one because most people would stand up, and there'd be 1 or 2 that weren't really paying attention, and they'd get a nudge from their friends, or they'd notice that everyone else was standing up. But then everyone's standing up, and then the final question I asked is, stand up if you know someone in your friends or family or yourself that's dealt with a brain illness, like depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and 90% of the people, I'll say 95% of the people, no matter where I spoke, a classroom, a high school assembly, young adults, teachers, adults, 95% of people remain standing. And at that point I'd say, please take a look around the room. And you look around and you would see how many people know someone or are directly affected by brain illnesses. Well, that's the elephant in the room right there. At one of the conferences I presented at, Seamus O'Regan, who was part of the Bell Let's Talk with Clara Hughes, he was the keynote speaker, and then I was in one of the breakout group speakers. But we were having lunch together, and Seamus mentioned, 20, 30 years ago, we whispered the words cancer. And I think back to that, and it's true. You didn't want to mention cancer. If someone had cancer, they were dying, and you didn't want to discuss it. You didn't want to make people feel bad. And when you have those negative thoughts about something like cancer, which we didn't know about and understand, and back then the prognosis may have been a lot worse than it is now, but if you're quiet about it, then you don't get the help you need. And over time, we learned more about cancer, and people could get treated and survive and have a better quality of life. And now we don't think twice about talking about cancer. I've been chairperson of Movember for Waterloo Region for years, and the first platform for Movember was prostate cancer. Guys saying, I'm not going to the doctor, let him put his fingers up my butt, and that whole homophobia thing of getting checked. And now as we grow our mustaches in November and kind of joke and say, hey man, go get checked. It's important to get checked. Use humor along the lines that, women, they get checked by the doctor and they get prodded and poked way more than we ever will, guys. So I see all the ladies nodding on that one and say it's man up, guys, go get checked, for not just for your own health, but for your families. So people get checked, and my dad had prostate cancer, and he got treated for prostate cancer, and he survived prostate cancer, and he died of age later, but it's just go get checked. Movember also added testicular cancer a few years later with the concept of check your nuts, a humorous way to get teenage boys, because it's a teenage illness. Testicular cancer starts. Check your nuts when you're in the shower on a regular basis, and girls feel comfortable talking to your dads or your brothers or your boyfriend and say, have you checked them recently? And girls in general are better talking about their health than we are as guys. So that's where Movember was, and we're talking about checking and cancer, and cancer is easy to talk about. So when Seamus O'Regan shared that 20, 30 years ago we whispered cancer, well, in the last few years we've stopped whispering mental health. We've started talking about mental health, and we can start by reducing some of the stigma of mental health by saying it's actually brain health, because it's part of our body, our brain. It's chemicals in our brain that get changed due to angst or overexcitement, and here we are now shouting out about brain health, that it's okay, and so many public figures, athletes, musicians, politicians are coming out and speaking about it, that it makes it okay to talk about it. The first one for me, I read something on the internet years ago, was Ron Ellis, Toronto Maple Leaf, from when I was a kid, talked about his bout with depression. And all of a sudden I said, well, wow, that's pretty powerful that he's talking about that, and I have those same symptoms. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I have those same things. And then Shane Corson, also a Toronto Maple Leaf, so yes, I'm a Leaf fan, always have been, even if they're not doing well. Shane Corson was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and wouldn't even be able to play the game the next day. And so these men were speaking about it, and when people speak about it, you learn those few things I said earlier. One, you're not alone, because this illness called depression makes us think we're alone. Okay? Two, it's not a fault thing. You didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve this. It's not a laziness. It's not a weakness in your character, even though that's what depression makes you think. So, and the next one is, the good news is, there's help. And help is just a chat away. That's all for now.